So some people maybe have heard of the Chicago Urban League, yes, or the National Urban League, yes. There's many of these in different states, and the National Urban League. The aim is to address the needs of Black people migrating from the rural South to northern cities in unprecedented numbers at the dawn of the 20th century. Yes, this was organized in 1916. Yes, and who organized it? Well, it would have been, of course, take a guess. A fraternity, yes. And the fraternity was out of Cornell, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, a centennial celebration. And what I'm wondering is, like, they're so, like, for, and, you know, not being racist and stuff, right? Because they're all pushing this equity, inclusion, which really they make these words bad. They do, because they're the slave owners. They are. So all those BLM members, yeah, they got paid to carry on, and will continue to do that, I'm sure, because people will sell out for money, right? But actually are advocating a cause where it's by people that enslave them. But I found this on their website, because, like, they have, like, all your fraternities. They have their own constitution, their own congresses. Yes, like, what happened to school where you couldn't just go and learn? You have to have all these fraternities, yeah. And then the fraternities all have their own bylaws and their congresses. And, like, stop it. Like, you are the problem. All of you fraternities, you prove the Bible. You prove Genesis 2, by the way. Just so you guys are aware of that. You prove Genesis 2, straight up. You do. And what is Genesis 2? Genesis 2, around line 12, 13, somewhere around there. But it's in Genesis 2. What does God say to Adam? God tells Adam, you can take from all of the trees in the garden, but you must not take from that tree. Because if you take from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, then you will surely die. Yes. Well, guess what? All of your fraternities are an example of what God was talking about. Yes. You people are stupid. You're foolish. This is why God did not want Adam and Eve, or either one of them, to take from that tree, because they already had the good. All that they brought on themselves was the wicked. So by gaining knowledge, they become those great scientists, those great experts that go on and supposedly tell you that they're doing all this stuff, but it never materializes. And if anything, it's always stuff that just works for them, but we end up having more diseases, more illnesses, no cures, not one cure. Again, these are not a cure. A cure means it's gone. It's gone. But they just tell you it's gone. Oh, well, today we'll figure it's gone. Just like, going in a restaurant wearing a mask in California, take down the mask to take a bite of food, but then put the mask back up. That's what science does. So stupid. All of it. Science has made a complete ass out of themselves. And this goes to that, because God knew. This is how much God knows. So all of you people in your fraternities and your little secret societies, guess what? You have no wisdom. So no matter how much academia you have, no matter how much knowledge you think you have, you don't have shit without wisdom. And wisdom only comes from one place. It does. I've said it over and over again. It only comes from the Lord God Almighty. And guess what? He doesn't care about your degrees, whether it's getting a degree at the university or the Freemasonry system or whatever fraternity, right? Isn't that, the fraternities and the college system goes hand in hand, does it not? Yeah, degrees in both. Yeah, raising in degrees, you need more degrees so you can become more enlightened intellectual, but become a stupid fool completely. Yeah, so what purpose does the education system serve? None. And God knew this. And they prove, all of them, Cornell, Northwestern, University of Illinois, Chicago, Yale, Harvard, every single one of them on the planet prove Genesis 2. Why God told Adam and Eve, because he loved them and he wanted them to live in happiness and harmony. And that's why he said, don't take from that tree, because once you take from it, then you will become a people that will form secret societies, and you will think that you are so enlightened with your knowledge and your little tests and all the things you do behind your microscopes or in the land or your archaeological whatever it is, that you will become the biggest stupid fools of all. And then you will lead a bunch of people that are totally misguided and just blindly following the blind, which would be science, into the abyss. Sorry, I did just rant for a little bit there. So I'm just wondering, because they're on the website of the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, they have the Alpha Phi Alpha and the Great War. And what it says is, during the onset of World War I, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, particularly Beta Chapter at Howard University, Washington, D.C., played a critical role in convincing the government to create an officers' training camp for black troops. Well, how nice of them. The training camp at Fort Des Moines was the result of this advocacy. Well, how nice. Alpha Phi Alpha had the greatest representation of any organization or club at the camp. 32 Alpha men were granted commissions, 4 were made captains, and 90% were first lieutenants. Yeah, so you helped create segregation. So how is it that you guys can even do anything about equity or include, like, really? Yeah, no, you're, like I said, you know what you're doing. Yes, you always have known what you're doing. Why would you advocate to segregate? It's so stupid. But that's what this fraternity did out of Cornell. Again, during the onset of World War I, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, particularly the Beta Chapter, which was Howard University, Washington, D.C., played a critical role in convincing the government to create an officers' training camp for black troops. So using the black troops to take you into war, but wanting to still segregate against them, huh? See, so what, like if you were really about inclusion and equity and all these diversion, all that stupid words they use over and over again, like, you know, like it just means nothing. If they really, why wouldn't you promote not sending them into war? I mean, really what you're doing is advocating for them to go get trained to go to war for a country where you're not even promoting that they be with everyone else. You wanted to segregate them, but then also send them to war for your cause. See, that this is the reason why it was a big mistake that Eve took the apple. Yeah. This is where it leads to it. Ultimately, it leads to the universities, because that's where you supposedly get knowledge, right? Yeah, the knowledge that this world wants to teach you, which will be a bunch of effed up knowledge and not all legit. And then to try to weed it out, they've already mind controlled you into degrees and systems, and they have you so messed up that they made people think it was a good thing that they advocated to Congress to segregate black troops, give them their own training camps. Oh my God. Unbelievable. The lack of insight into these fraternities. See, this is the problem. The blind leading the blind. And yet I mentioned the other day, I have the Freemasons down the road, huge big sign, like the size of a truck, okay? Seriously. Compass, all of it, right in front of a barn. Then across the street got the Knights of Columbus. It's like, what is your problem? Like, really, you're like, you can't be alone or something? Is that what it's about? I know you say it's about helping others and being a part of the community. No, you want to control the community. That's what you want to do. Because that's what every secret society, whether it's secret or not, seems to want to do, is you have to follow these rules, this, that. I mean, how many constitutions do we have to have in this country? How many constitutions? I mean, think about it. There's so many with all the universities. There's no wonder the average American people get no voice.